What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite SPY options trading strategy and walking through some of the different things I look for. So the first thing I'm going to do is hop into the chart and start doing some analysis on the different time frames. So if you're familiar with supply and demand, that would be a good thing. If not, I'm going to have another video coming out soon about it. A lot of my trading strategy is based on supply and demand. So if you don't understand it yet, it would be a good idea to refresh on that. First, let's start out on the monthly time frame. I'm going to get my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to show you guys how I like to mark my supply and demand zones. This is an example. So you see here we have a move up and then a bullish or bearish engulfing candle down. This is where I would like to mark out a zone as an area of supply or an area where there's going to be a lot of sellers in the market. So I like to start in the monthly just to see where we're at in the overall time frame, see where we have our supply and demand zones. If you think about it over time, you're going to tend to gravitate towards these zones, and if one zone is larger than the other, there's probably more of a pull towards that zone. Alright, so let's take a look at the weekly chart. As you can see, we could get more specific with the zones. Always take the candle before the move, the big move. You could ignore the wicks. Sometimes I do like to include the wicks though, because that's the first place that the price enters into the area, and you could see some reversal in the area. So this is just me marking out a few zones. Demand, for example, would be this. Alright, so you guys get the idea. Let's hop into the 1 day so we can get more specific here. Right here we have this supply zone from the 1 day chart, for example. And we have a demand down here. Now I like to mark out boxes on every single time frame of supply and demand so that I can see where they start to overlap, and we probably have a definite area of supply or demand. It gives us a more precise understanding of what's going to happen in the market and when, if we can get our supply and demand more specific on lower time frames. Let's check out the 30-minute chart. Now this is something I do every morning before the market even opens. I like to mark out all my areas of supply and demand because I find that during the day they are very important. They are very important to determining when I'm going to enter into a trade. Alright, so for example, this morning I noticed that this was a whole zone up here, supply and demand, because right here we have all this wicking and chop right before we see a big move down. Lots of sellers, big move down, lots of volume, tons of sellers left in this area. Didn't get their orders filled. They want that price. They want a short here. Next thing you know, price taps into the zone. Guess what? All those sellers that didn't get the price before the other day, they're selling. Boom. Huge move down. Lots of volume. This is actually the trade that I took this morning. I'll show you the 15-minute and 5-minute so you can get a better understanding of how to enter into a trade like this. Basically, this morning we saw price going up and tapping directly in the zone that we marked out on the other side. And then, boom, you see the price shoots down. This is a nice short. This is a nice short. So it's been a nice short, almost 1 to 3 risk to reward. Boom, put your stop loss above the high day previous. So this is kind of risky because I entered right when it tapped in the zone, but you can put your stop loss about halfway up the supply zone on the 50-minute. So if I look here, I can see here. So about there. Generally, you won't go much farther than halfway into the supply zone, and that's a good spot to enter for a reversal. I'll show you what else I was looking for to make sure this trade would actually work out. As you can see, on the 5-minute, we started to see we saw some wicking on the 5-minute. We had just a flattening, and you could see the seller pressure forming at this level of resistance. And you can see that it's about halfway up the supply zone from February 16th, and then we enter in and boom, short. Also here, another entry for a short. As you can see, guys, every time we get into this area of supply, we are shooting down again. We found the supply zone from the higher time frames. We can see that this supply zone right here, you could even mark it out to here. This was actually from the day chart, was very well respected, and we can even see that here. See that from the day chart, this zone was respected, as well as our zones from the smaller time frames. So to recap, my basic strategy is to look for a supply or demand zone, wait for entry, look for selling pressure, and then enter into a short position, or vice versa. So we could also do that here, for example. As we see, we have the supply area, as you can see, we have this area of demand down here, and our chart moves down demand and then boom, up. Now guys, it's really just about marking out all your areas of supply and demand, seeing where you have overlaps, lots of pressure in the area, and just thinking logically about where people are buying and selling in the market, and then planning your entries and exits accordingly. Another thing I like to talk about is I'm not holding these trades for a long time. I like to take 5 or 10 minute trades. For example, right here, if I had entered on this liquidity sweep down here of demand, I would have probably sold about here. Not even that much of a gain. I'll take 1 or 2 points, 20%, 30%. I like to just lock in my profits. I'm going to show you guys some screenshots from the Robinhood profile. You'll see in my chart in my Robinhood that each day is just like a little step up. And it's important that you just take these small steps over time and be consistent, because if you're too greedy, you're going to lose. And I like to set my stop losses for the day at the previous step down on my weekly chart. I'll show you guys here, because this way, as long as you're a few steps ahead, you have a chance to make a few missteps, miscalculations in the journey, but still be profitable if you're only risking 1 step the day before, like 2 steps backwards but 5 steps forwards, if you get that. Anyhow, I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys subscribe. Also, I have a Discord below. I do make free alerts and signals in there if you guys want to join. Just trying to grow a cool community that can talk about trading and help each other learn more. So subscribe if you're new, like and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.